Good morning, all of you. In the previous lecture, we have learned about an optical source, that is LED. So, we learned what is LED, what are the requirements in selecting an LED as an optical source. So, what is the quantum efficiency, what are the LED optical source parameters, etc. we have learned. Today we will discuss another optical source, that is laser diode. What is the full form of laser? It is light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. Light amplification by stimulation emission of radiation. So the laser light has some characteristics. See, what are those? One is monochromatic, that is it has single frequency. It is coherence nature. It is coherence in nature. Okay, that is the signal is in phase. It is collimated, that is it has high directivity. And another one is it has high energy. What are the characteristics of the laser? One is monochromatic. It is monochromatic. It is coherent. It is collimated. And another one is it is having high energy. So the laser exists in different forms with different dimensions, in various dimensions. For example, from the size of the salt crystal, very small, to the size of the entire room. Okay, the size of the laser ranges from the size of the crystal, okay, to the entire room, size of the, or it can occupy entire room. Okay, it also has different forms, that is it can be produced from a gas, it can be produced from a liquid, or it can be produced from a semiconductor, Generally, in optical fibers, laser diodes which are lasers used in optical sources are generally made of semiconductors, that is laser diodes. Okay. What is the principle behind the laser operation? How the laser light is generating? Okay. See, there are actually three important processes behind any laser action, okay, or any laser light production. First one is absorption, second one is spontaneous emission, and the third one is stimulated emission. What are those? First one is absorption, second one spontaneous emission, the third one stimulated emission. Okay, we know about absorption as well as spontaneous emission. Okay, because already in this unit, in the beginning of this unit, we have studied about energy band diagrams, etc. Okay, so where absorption means, for example, this is the valence band, this is the conduction band, or energy state E1, energy state E2, whatever it may be. Okay, for example, this is the electron in the energy state E2. Okay, so in order to go from energy state 1 to energy state 2, okay, the electron need certain external energy, okay, to go from energy state E1 to energy state E2. Okay, so the electron present in the energy state E1 absorbs energy, which may be in the form of voltage or temperature or in the form of light, whatever it may be. It moves into the higher energy state, or you can say conduction band. This process is called as absorption. See the second one, the same electron which is very much unstable in the higher energy state, say E2, will try to move into the ground state or lower energy state, say E1. Okay, it happens by releasing or by giving out the whatever the energy it absorbed. Okay, to go from energy state 1 to energy state 2. Okay, the same energy will be released in the form of photons. This is called as spontaneous emission. This also we have discussed in the beginning of the unit. But there is another type of process which is called as stimulated emission. There is another type of process which is called as stimulated emission, which is the fundamental principle behind any laser action. Okay, so what is that stimulated emission? In stimulated emission, the electron will emit energy in the form of light. Okay, when it is moving from higher energy state to lower energy state, say E2 to E1. Okay, but releases the energies, releases the two energies. Okay, so what is the two energies? Why the electron is able to release two energies? That is two photon energies, say h mu 12. Okay, another h mu 1, and both energies are in phase. What is happening here? Actually, there is a condition called as population inversion. There is a condition called as population inversion. There is a condition called as population inversion. What is population inversion? Population inversion means it is the condition where the number of electrons in the conduction band are more when compared to the valence band. That is, the energy state E2 is having more number of electrons compared to the energy state E1. Okay, so actually we know that whatever the electrons present in E1 will be moving into E2. But what is this condition? Why energy state E2 is having more number of electrons compared to E1? It can be obtained actually by another technique that we will discuss later. But this condition, the possessing of more number of electrons in the energy state E2 or conduction band than the energy state E1 or valence band is called as that condition is called as population inversion. In such condition, okay, so is it not possible for all the electrons to jump from higher energy state to lower energy state naturally? How it is happening in the case 2, that is spontaneous emission case. Okay, so in this case, another external photon energy or voltage or temperature should be applied to the electrons present in the higher energy state, so that those electrons will jump from higher energy state, say E2 to E1. So in order to make the electron to jump from higher energy state to lower energy state, we are applying some energy again. Okay, so the electron absorbs this energy. Okay, here there is a process called as absorption. Okay, electron is absorbing the energy and it is falling into the ground state or lower energy state. Naturally, any electron, when it is falling from higher energy state to lower energy state, will produce will release photon energy. But in this case, in the stimulated emission case, the electron will naturally generate one energy for falling into the ground state and another energy, okay, which it has absorbed to fall into the ground state, and another energy which it has absorbed to fall into the ground state, that energy is also released. These two energies are in phase. These two energies are in phase. Okay, this kind of emission is called as stimulated emission. It is not happening normally. We are bringing one condition. We are providing certain environment inside the material such that population inversion condition is taking place. Okay, and we are applying external energy to bring the more number of electrons present in the higher energy state to the lower energy state wantedly. Okay, are you able to understand this? Okay, so this is what is the process happening in laser diode, or this is what is the stimulation emission key process which is very much essential for producing laser light. Okay. Yes, you see here some important points are there. Okay. Stimulated emissions will exceed absorption only if the population inversion is excited of the excited states is greater than that of the ground state, and this condition is called as population inversion. In order to obtain population inversion, there are certain techniques. Okay, as I said, okay, just now I said we will discuss how the population inversion can happen, how the more number of electrons, how more number of electrons are present, why more number of electrons are present in energy state E2, okay, than the energy state E1. How it is possible means we are creating that environment actually. Okay, how? Based upon certain pumping techniques. Based upon certain pumping techniques. Okay, what is that pumping technique actually? It is nothing but injecting the electrons. Pumping technique is nothing but, or bringing the population inversion condition means, okay, how to bring that? We are injecting more number of electrons into the material to fill the lower energy state of the conduction band. Means you are injecting more electrons into the conduction band of the material. Externally, you are injecting more number of electrons into the conduction band of the material. Okay, so that is the reason this population inversion condition is achieved. Okay, that is how the population inversion is achieved. Okay, so certain features are there for laser diode. What are those? The optical convenience system requiring bandwidth greater than 200 megahertz. Okay, so generally semiconductor injection laser diodes are preferred than LEDs. Okay, when the bandwidth required is more than 200 megahertz, generally laser diodes are preferred. Laser diode emission response time is less than 1 nanosecond. This is another feature, 1 nanosecond. The width of the spectral component is less than 2 nanometer. The width of the light component or the spectral component of the emitted laser light is less than the 2 nanometer. The next one is all laser diodes are made up of heterojunction structures. We have studied what is heterojunction structure in the previous session. Okay. The next one is the construction of laser diode is complicated when compared to the because of requirement of some additional current confinement. Okay, or the emitting cavity is, the size of the emitting cavity is very, very small. So in order to bring that structure, in order to construct that kind of structure, the construction of the laser diode is complex compared to the LED. These are some features of the LED laser. Okay. So there is an important laser diode. Okay, generally preferred for the in the optical sources. Okay, So that is Fabry-Perot resonant cavity. Fabry-Perot resonant cavity is a one kind of laser diode. So Fabry-Perot, Fabry and Perot, two names of the two scientists. Names of the two scientists. Okay. So here you can see, first of all I want to, this is the actually Fabry-Perot resonant cavity. Okay. So there is a lasing spot here. There is a lasing spot here. Okay. So two ends there are actually two mirrors. Two ends there are two mirrors. These are made up of actually gallium, aluminium. The materials are generally used as gallium, aluminium and arsenide only. Okay. But actually two reflective mirrors are inserted. Okay. So the radiation in laser diode can be generated using Fabry-Perot cavity. This laser diode consists of, as I said, two reflective mirrors which are placed opposite sides, okay, in the diode. Okay. What is the purpose of these mirrors? Inserting two mirrors in the diode means it establishes a strong optical feedback in the longitudinal direction. Okay. How? Because the light which is produced at the lasing cavity will reflect will hit one mirror and goes back to the another mirror, and it hits that mirror, second mirror, and comes back to the first mirror, and it happens number of times. Okay, and it happens number of times till a standing wave is produced. Till a standing wave is produced. Okay. The optical frequencies at which constructive interference occurs is called as resonant frequencies of the cavity. Okay. So there is a condition to reach the lasing threshold. Okay, lasing threshold. So that is nothing but the point at which optical gain is equal to the total loss in the cavity. So this is what is the condition. Tau equal to alpha plus 1 by 2n log of 1 by r1 and r. Okay. It is where r1 and r2 are called as mirror reflectivities. Okay. And alpha is the effective absorption coefficient of the material. So as I said, this is the Fabry-Perot resonant cavity. So laser diode rate equation. So rate equations relate the optical power. Rate equations relate the optical power. Okay, or the number of photons per unit volume. Number of photons per unit volume. Okay. So the formula given is d phi by dt equal to Cn phi plus Rsp minus pi by tau. Okay. So where C is the coefficient expressing the intensity of the optical emission and absorption process. Rsp is the rate of spontaneous emission in the lasing mode. Tsp is the photon lifetime, and J is the injection current density. Okay, using that equation we can estimate the rate of laser action. Next, like LED, in LEDs how we have calculated the quantum efficiency. In a similar way, it is necessary to calculate the quantum efficiency in laser diodes also. Okay. So the quantum efficiency is defined as number of photons emitted per radiative recombination of the electron hole pairs above the threshold value. Quantum efficiency eta equal to eta I GTH minus alpha by GTH, where eta is the internal quantum efficiency, alpha is the effective absorption coefficient of the material, and G is the threshold optical gain. Next one is reliability considerations. The operating lifetimes of LEDs and laser diodes are affected by two parameters. One is operating condition, another one is fabrication process or fabrication technique. The lifetime test the optical sources. The lifetime tests of the optical sources are carried either at room temperature or at high temperature. Okay. So there are some methods to test the lifetime of the LED or laser, whatever the optical. So the first one is keeping the drive current constant, applying constant drive current to the LED or laser diode and monitoring the output level. Okay, applying the constant current to the diode, laser diode or LED and observing the output. The second one is increasing the drive current suddenly, okay, and monitoring the output voltage. So like this, we can test the lifetime of the LED or laser diode. This experiment has to be done number of times on the two optical sources, so that we can observe we can estimate the lifetime of the optical sources. So lifetime of the optical sources comes under the reliability considerations of the optical sources. The second one is degradation of optical sources, okay, is also considered. The reasons for degradation of the optical sources is also considered. Degradation means getting down or getting damaged. Okay, what is that? The first one is internal damage. Okay, the first one is internal damage. Generally it occurs due to crystal defects. It occurs due to semiconductor crystal defects. Generally internal damage occurs due to which laser light producing quality as well as the lifetime generally degrades. The second one is ohmic contact degradation. The second one is ohmic contact degradation. What is that? Increase of the thermal resistance. Increase of the thermal resistance inside the laser diode also leads to degradation of the optical source. The third one is damage of facets. Damage of facet means it is a mechanical damage. If there are any mechanical damage at the mirrors, okay, the reflective mirrors, generally this producing of the standing wave generally may not happen. Okay, this also will reduce the lifetime or degrade the quality of the laser diode. Okay. So today we have discussed about the laser diode. Okay. In the coming class we will try to do some problems related to these optical sources. Thank you.